Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're continuing our Wisdom Unveiled series, and today we're really focusing in on the incredible mind of Ibn Sina.
Yes, it's great to be back exploring these ideas. And just a reminder, as you know, this deep dive comes from translations based on discussions with the Iranian philosophers like Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larjani. We've aimed for accuracy, of course, but some nuances, well, they might get a bit lost in translation. So apologies up front if anything isn't perfectly captured.
Absolutely. Thanks for setting that stage. Last time we barely scratched the surface, didn't we? Today, the mission is to go much deeper. What made Ibn Sina's thinking so groundbreaking? We'll look at how he redefined wisdom, that existence versus quiddity thing, and his ideas on knowledge itself. Ideas that still feel really relevant.
They really do. These aren't just, historical curiosities. They offer genuine alternatives to problems modern philosophy is still wrestling with. We hope to show you how his thinking might actually, well, shift your own perspective on knowing.
Okay, so let's dive in. This extraordinary mind. What's amazing is how he didn't just follow Aristotle's lead. Aristotle was obviously brilliant, but Ibn Sina went further. Where did that confidence, that intellectual courage come from?
Well, that really speaks to his genius, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He had this incredible critical sharpness. It wasn't just about finding gaps in Aristotle. He was actively building, creating something more comprehensive. He saw the limits of Aristotle's framework and knew he could innovate beyond it. He wasn't just repeating things.
So more than a critic, he was a genuine architect of ideas.
Precisely. A synthesist, an innovator. And crucially, he was drawing from another tradition too, ancient Khawani wisdom, which was in some ways older, richer. It was steeped in metaphor, spiritual insight, focused on light, direct illumination, quite different from the Greek step-by-step logic, He managed to fuse that Greek rationality with this deep, intuitive spiritual background. It created this incredibly powerful, unique synthesis.
That fusion sounds, well, potent. And it leads us right to how he actually categorized wisdom, seeing different ways to understand things beyond just logic chopping.
He certainly did. He outlined two distinct types, but saw them as complementary. First, there's what he called discursive wisdom. Hikmat bathy. It's pretty much what we think of as philosophy, right? Built on arguments, logic, analysis, premise, conclusion, step by step. Very methodical.
Right, the mind-building knowledge, piece by careful piece.
Exactly. But then, and this is where his genius really comes through, there's intuitive wisdom. Hikmat daki, the word dak, it relates to taste. So it's like a sudden, undeniable taste of truth, a direct apprehension. And here's the really interesting part. Ibn Sina counted these intuitive insights as certainties, not just, feelings or guesses.
Wow, certainties. That's a strong claim. How did he justify that? What makes it philosophically reliable, not just a subjective feeling?
That's a great question. Gets right to it. He saw it as this rapid, almost instant mental leap. A complex problem just clicks. Now, it can be verified later with discursive reason, with logic, but it doesn't need that verification in the moment it hits you. It's where, like, mind and heart, reason and direct experience, they just come together in this immediate understanding. It feels certain right away. This really expanded what counted as philosophical knowledge for him.
Okay, this blend. It seems to set the stage for one of his biggest ideas, tackling that really basic question, what's the difference between something existing and what it actually is? This split between existence, ania, and quiddity, mahiyyah.
You've really hit on one of the most fundamental issues in all of philosophy there. Honestly, if you don't get this distinction clear, it's hard to reach solid conclusions about anything deep. Ibn Sina, with that sharpness, he nails it beautifully. He has this very concise line. We conceive of a triangle and doubt its existence, and that which is conceived is not that which is doubted.
That which is conceived is not that which is doubted.
That's dense. Can you unpack that a bit? Yeah, let's break it down. Think of it like this. You can completely understand the idea of a triangle, right? Three sides, the angles, its triangleness, that's its quiddity, its whatness. You get that perfectly clear in your head. But even with that perfect mental picture, you can still ask, okay, but does this specific triangle actually exist out there in the world?
Ah, okay, I see. So the concept in my head, the whatness, is separate from whether it's actually real somewhere, it's thatness.
Exactly. The what of the thing, its quiddity, is distinct from the that it is, its existence. Think about this table between us. It has existence, but it isn't existence itself. Its tableness, its quiddity, is different from the fact that it is. It participates in existence. Now, Ibn Sina is clear this separation is mainly mental, an intellectual distinction. In the real world out there, the table and its existence are obviously together, inseparable. But in our minds, We can conceptually pull them apart. And he says this applies to everything in the possible world. Everything has existence, but isn't existence itself.
So is there any exception to that rule? Anything that just is existence?
Yes, one absolutely critical exception, God. For Ibn Sina, God is pure existence, aniya. Therefore, God has no quiddity, no whatness. God's very essence is his existence. They're identical. And that's why our normal way of knowing things, what he calls acquired knowledge, which works by grasping quiddities, well, it can't fully comprehend God's true essence. There's just no whatness there to grasp in the usual way.
That's a massive insight. So how does this connect to creation? Like that Quranic verse, the handiwork of Allah who has made everything perfectly.
Right. Ibn Sina has another beautiful quote for that. God did not make an apricot, but rather gave existence to the apricot. What he means is all the quiddities, all the possible whats of things, from an ant to an angel, they existed eternally in God's knowledge, in the divine mind. These fixed essences, some call them ayin and thabata, they hadn't yet, as he puts it, smelled the scent of existence. They weren't actualized. But, and this is key, nothing else except those pre-known essences even had the potential to exist. It's like blueprints for everything possible already there in God's knowledge, just waiting.
Blueprints waiting to be built. That's a great image. And he emphasizes, doesn't he, that it's only the human mind, with its reason, that can even make this distinction. Animals just experience things.
Precisely. That ability to abstract, that's key to being human for him.
Let's shift just a bit, but stay with these fundamentals. What about truth itself? What did Ibn Sina say truth actually is?
Haq, yes, another incredibly deep foundational area. For Ibn Sina, ultimately, there's only one ultimate truth. With a capital T, hakakata haq, the truth of truths. We talk about lots of truths every day, of course. But all those instances of truth, they get their truthfulness from that one ultimate source.
And he used an analogy about oneness or unity to explain this, didn't he?
Yes, a really powerful one. Think about it. Every single one apple, one person, one thought gets its oneness, its unity, from the concept of pure absolute unity itself. Right? In the same way, he argues, every individual truth gets its truthfulness from pure absolute truth. And for Ibn Sina, these ultimate concepts, pure truth, pure unity, the truth of truths, they are ultimately identical. And they all point directly to God. God's truthfulness comes from himself. He is truth. Other things merely have truth. They receive it from him. This gives a really deep meaning to Tawhid, monotheism. It's not just that God is numerically one, but that he is the very source and essence of pure unity and pure truth. They're fundamentally equivalent at that highest level.
Wow. His ability to connect these huge concepts is amazing. It seems like this way of thinking offers a powerful lens, especially when you compare it to dilemmas in, say, modern Western philosophy about knowledge itself. I understand he addressed something that really bothered Kant later on.
That's an excellent point, yes. It highlights a major challenge in Western epistemology. Kant, a huge figure. He famously argued that our regular thinking, our theoretical reason logic, science, couldn't ultimately access the deeper reality, metaphysics, what he called the noumenal world or the thing in itself. It's beyond appearances. He drew a pretty firm line.
So basically, our minds can only know how things seem to us, not how they really are deep down. That sounds, well, quite limiting.
That was his conclusion, more or less. And this limitation, it created what many felt was a real crisis in understanding knowledge. If our usual reason can't touch ultimate reality, how can we truly know anything beyond appearances? It left this big nagging question hanging over Western philosophy. What does it even mean to know? A real roadblock.
So if that's a problem Western thought is still grappling with, what was Ibn Sina saying centuries before? How did he approach this?
Right, and this is where his ideas are so illuminating, offering a different path. Ibn Sina essentially said, look, we need to understand acquired knowledge, ilm-husuli, properly. This is all our concepts, facts, theories, arguments, everything we learn from outside, from books, teachers, experience, processed through concepts in our mind.
Okay, so most of what we normally call knowledge, the stuff we learn and accumulate.
Exactly. But Ibn Sina argued that this kind of knowledge, ilm-husuli, on its own, it just can't resolve the deepest questions about knowing. The mind, he thought, can't fully grasp its own nature or the ultimate nature of knowing just by using these external concepts. Something more fundamental is needed.
Something beyond just processing information, like more direct, inner kind of knowing.
Precisely. That something beyond that more direct way is what he called presence-based knowledge. al-huduri. This is direct, unmediated awareness. It's not about thinking about knowing something. It's the immediate presence of the knowing itself.
Can you give an example? Something that makes al-huduri really click, something tangible.
Sure. Think about your own self-awareness right now. Just your conscious experience listening to this. You don't need logic or proof to know you exist, do you?
No, of course not.
Or that you're awake or feeling a certain way. You just are aware of it directly.
It's fundamental, undeniable. You know it by presence.
It's immediate. You just know.
Yeah.
But here's the tricky part, the real challenge. Al-huduri, this presence-based knowledge, you can't fully define it or explain it using acquired knowledge, using huzuli. The second you try to put direct awareness into words, into a concept, into a definition, goof, it shifts. It becomes an object of thought again, back to ilm huzuli. You can't capture the raw experience of being aware with a concept of being aware. It's an experience, not a definition. He uses this term, tanavu, which means like awakening or noticing. A direct apprehension, not a conceptual grasp.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah.
So how can we cultivate this? Is there a practical way to access or strengthen this ilm huduri? Did he suggest anything?
He did, actually. A pretty powerful mental exercise. Imagine you're trying to figure out who you really are at your core. You might start listing things, right? Your job, nationality, family roles, beliefs, memories.
All the facts, the acquired stuff, the ilm husuli about me.
Exactly. All the labels. Ibn Sina suggested, just as an exercise, try mentally putting all of that aside for a moment. Bracket it off, as some later philosophers might put it. Just temporarily set aside all those learned inputs, labels, concepts about yourself. What are you left with then when you peel all that away?
Just pure awareness, pure being, the sense of I am.
That feeling, that simple awareness before you attach any labels. That, he suggests, is the knower, separate from all the things known. That raw, fundamental awareness is the heart of ilm huduri. It's about seeing the essential knowing subject underneath all the objects of knowledge we pile on top.
That's a profound exercise, stripping away the acquired layers and this deep understanding of knowledge. It seems like it even informs how he saw divine attributes. You mentioned that quote about God's wisdom and action.
Indeed. Ibn Sina says God is wise in his knowledge, and the word is mutkin in his action. Now, mutkin is often translated as like firm or perfected, but it's crucial. He insightfully connects its root back to hikmat wisdom. So God's actions aren't just sheer power or decree. They're always fundamentally governed by wisdom. This implies every divine act is perfectly proportionate, appropriate, aligned with what's truly right, merciful, just. It paints a picture of a universe unfolding not just by might, but with this inherent perfect wisdom underlying everything.
And this connects back to the human mind itself, doesn't it? You mentioned one of his students, Vimanar, asked about the sheer scope of truth in the mind. How vast did Ibn Sina think the human mind actually is?
Astonishingly vast. In a way, far wider than the external world we see. Think about this. Can you conceive of something that doesn't exist, like absolute nothingness?
Yeah, I can think about that concept.
Or even something impossible, like, say, God having a partner?
Yes, I can conceive of that idea even though it's impossible or has no reality outside my mind.
Exactly. That ability to grasp what is not or what cannot be, it shows the mind's almost boundless reach. Animals don't have this right. They can't ponder absolute non-existence or discuss eternity. This very vastness is what drives our uniquely human search for meaning, for eternity, for immortality. Animals seem content with immediate needs mostly. But humans, we always seek more. We desire the limitless.
So our greatness, our dignity, really lies in that boundless potential of the mind, its reach.
Precisely. It's an aspect of human dignity maybe we don't think about enough. And Ibn Sina gives advice on how to nurture this incredible mind. He says we must always guide it towards truth. And this is key. Fill it with continuous, deep questions. A mind that isn't asking questions isn't really active. It's just passive.
So questioning isn't just for learning facts. It's vital for the mind's health, for keeping it alive.
Absolutely. The mind activates itself. It needs dialogue, not just with others, but with yourself, too. Remember Socrates suggesting you pull worries out with a rope of questions, but it has to be deep, meaningful questions, not just the surface stuff of daily life. The questions you ask, listener, they really reveal who you are at your core. When philosophical dialogue is part of a culture, humanity keeps re-knowing the world. It stays fresh, vibrant.
As we start to wrap up, wow, we've covered some incredibly complex but really illuminating ground today. We saw how Ibn Sina wasn't just an Aristotelian follower. He built on him, went beyond him, bringing in that unique blend of logical, discursive wisdom and that direct, intuitive wisdom, opening up new paths to insight.
And then that really fundamental split between existence and quiddity. Understanding God as pure existence, pure truth, then diving into ilm huduri, that presence-based knowing, which, as you said, offers such a compelling perspective, maybe even an alternative to some of those ongoing struggles in Western philosophy about knowledge. And of course, ending with the sheer vastness of the human mind, driven by deep questioning.
And thinking about all this, it really brings up a vital question for us today, doesn't it? For you listening, living in a world just saturated with information, facts, data flying everywhere, how can you maybe apply something like Ibn Sina's parenthesis exercise, that bracketing off in your own daily life?
Yeah, how can you cultivate not just that critical discerning mind, but also that deeper inner awareness to move beyond just collecting more facts, more ilm husli, and really start to know yourself at that fundamental huduri level, and maybe also start to sense the deeper wisdom embedded in the world around you?
It's really about trying to find that core essential awareness underneath all the layers of what we think we know. That's a wonderful and definitely challenging thought to take away. Thank you so much for walking us through that today. And thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into Wisdom Unveiled. We promise we'll continue exploring Ibn Sina next time. There's still more unique, fresh insight to uncover. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep seeking that deeper wisdom.